Oh, JJ, what am I gonna do with you? I don't hate you. Well, maybe I do. But, you've made stuff in the past that I've liked, and you always came across as a very nice guy. So what's with all this stupid talk? Is Kathleen holding your family hostage? In a recent IndieWire interview, Abrams briefly discussed the backlash to the new Disney Star Wars films. Instead of saying something insightful or funny, he went down the same path as every other defender of the new series. But my strong female characters. So before we get into it, let's talk a little bit about the greatness that is Rey. Left on Jakku as a child, Rey had to raise herself, growing into a scavenger who collects parts so she can buy bread. This is compelling stuff. We don't really know anything about Rey, she just is kind of there. Sure, we know she's waiting for a family, but that pretty much gets dropped when she runs away with Finn. It seems the biggest issue people have with Rey is her being so OP. Now, a lot of people tried to argue that Luke Skywalker was also this way in the original trilogy, but there's countless videos debunking this, including the most obvious point that he got his hand cut off in Empire Strikes Back. Is the criticism of Rey valid? Yes. In the first movie, she's a great pilot, fighter, mechanic, and everyone falls in love with her. The only moment where she doesn't come across as One Punch Man are when Kylo first kidnaps her and then later knocks her into a tree. Outside of that, she has super strength and easily defeats Kylo in the third act. I never get the sense that the Force made you physically stronger, but I guess George Lucas didn't stay consistent with the prequel, so why should Disney? I mean, imagine if Luke Skywalker in the OT had punched multiple bad guys in the face, including Darth Vader, and knocked them out. It would come across as pretty stupid, sort of like Rey grabbing Kylo's arm and pulling it down to the ground. But Kylo was hurt. Well, she got knocked into a tree and she seemed pretty okay. But sure, I'll give you that one. In The Last Jedi, Rey is still OP, learning almost nothing from the great Luke Skywalker and even briefly defeating him in battle. Later in the film, she saves Kylo from death because what other outcome could there be, and then flies to Salty Hoth to save her friends. Luke couldn't really lift anything in Empire. He struggled to pull his lightsaber out of the goddamn snow, and that was 2 years after the events of New Hope. But within hours of The Force Awakens, Rey is able to lift dozens of rocks. Here's a suggestion. Why not have Leia do that? Instead of the stupid space Leia scene, why not just show her powers in this moment? You would get the same result, but in a much more organic way. But Rey is hit in the head with the lightsaber. You're right, I should just stop this video right now. What's left to explore outside of answering all the boring questions from The Force Awakens? There's not much of a story going on here, just a series of events that don't add up. I mean, in Episode 9, Rey's just gonna beat Kylo like she did before. Where's the dramatic tension? Oh, that's right, there isn't any. So this is what Abrams had to say. Star Wars is a big galaxy, and you could sort of find almost anything you want to in Star Wars, he said. If you're someone who feels threatened by women and needs to lash out against them, you can probably find an enemy in Star Wars. You could probably look at the first movie that George Lucas did, Star Wars A New Hope, yeah, deep cut there, bro, and say that Leia was too outspoken or she was too tough. Anyone who wants to find a problem with anything can find the problem. The internet seems to be made for that. Yay, let's blame the internet. So it's because we are uncomfortable with women that we don't like Rey or Rose. It has nothing to do with writing or execution. It's very telling here that JJ isn't explaining why Rey is a great character, but more so deflecting and using straw man arguments. Nobody ever complained about Princess Leia being too tough and outspoken because it made sense that she would be that way. She was leading the rebels and grew up wealthy. She wasn't going to take shit from some farm boy and smugglers trying to game her. The thing is, she had a personality, she had a character that we could relate to and connect with on a deeper level. What's Rey's character? What's her motivation? I've heard Daisy Ridley say that Rey is confused and not sure what to do, but I think that's the writers not knowing what to do with her, because I can't think of one interesting thing about her. She's about as generic as a hero character can get, and I'm not sure why she cares so much about the First Order, Kylo, Finn, and all the stuff that she just got involved with a few days ago. Asked if fan outcry would at all impact his vision for the upcoming film, Abrams was clear. Not in the least, he said, adding, "There's a lot I would like to say about it, but I feel that's a little early to be having the Episode 9 conversation. I will say the story of Rey and Poe and Finn and Kylo Ren, and if you look, there are 3 men and 1 woman. To those that are complaining that there are too many women in Star Wars, their story continues in a way that I couldn't be more excited about and cannot wait for people to see." So because there's 3 crappy male characters, that makes Rey less crappy? Alright. Nobody's complaining about the women being such a focus in these new films. It's more about the failure to make them interesting or iconic. There's a reason the toys aren't selling. People aren't really responding to the character of Rey. She's nothing more than a meme at this point. If she was a male character, she would be even more hated because so many white knights wouldn't feel the need to defend her. Just like nobody defends the bland male characters in countless YA movies that come out every year. I don't hear anyone defend the Maze Runner lead character. All of this wouldn't hurt so much if Daisy Ridley didn't come off like a total moron in interviews, not understanding the term Mary Sue and claiming there's no male version of it. Gary Stu. Just do 5 seconds of research, Daisy. Heck, I'll give you 30 seconds, just enough time to type it into Google. So it's all sexist because... I can't wait to get into the industry and cry racism when people don't like my adaptation of Black Panther. Oh, wait. Someone beat me to it. Well played, Disney. Well played. So is Abrams a cuck? Not really. He's just a company man trying to keep the peace. Most celebrity interviews suck, and this is no different. The questions are boring, and the answers are boring. This is the state we're in, outside of the rare podcast interview that can be somewhat interesting. It's a lot of basic stuff. Daisy Ridley can't explain why Rey's great. J.J. Abrams can't. Rian Johnson can't, because there's no answer. They don't really have an answer for why she's a good character, or why Hold the Door is a good character, why Rose is a good character. All of us can endlessly explain the qualities of Princess Leia, and when we do that, apparently, we're not sexist. We understand Star Wars, but then when we dislike a character who just so happens to be female. I dislike Rey because of her character, not because she's a woman, but then that's what they always make it about, because they're acting sexist, because that's the only way they view it, because the only interesting aspect of Rey is that she's a woman. That's the only thing that's, I guess, somewhat interesting. And of course, Kathleen Kennedy, the Force is female. It's like, yay, God is female. God determines everything. And now the Force is the God of this universe, and it's female, guys. The future is female. So, you could say there's an SJW agenda. It's propaganda. They're pushing feminism. They're pushing politics. It's left-wing bullshit, right? But I don't think it's always so much that. I think it's a lot of its insecurity, being creatively bankrupt, not having a story to tell, not really knowing who these characters are, not having a plan going into it, a disconnect from Rian Johnson to J.J. Abrams, which has been confirmed by Rian Johnson, tons of behind-the-scenes drama, a lot of it that we don't even know about, and at the end of the day, what you have is that Rey really isn't catching on, and she won't catch on. In 20 years, Rey's not going to be remembered. Think about the Harry Potter trio, Harry, Ron, Hermione. They're still very popular and liked. Right, that dynamic, and they're like the baby version of the Star Wars characters. But then you have the new leads in these movies. Nobody's talking about Finn. You don't see people wearing Finn t-shirts everywhere. I mean, Poe Dameron sold the most action figures when Force Awakens came out, and I think he has like 8 minutes of screen time at best. So I don't want to hear this crap, alright, Abrams? Stop white knighting, be honest, or at least give us some kind of substance. Give us something like, this is why Rey's awesome, this is what people don't see about her, and give us something that gives us some complexity and nuance. I want to know why you're so compelled to write this stuff. I want to know why you're so invested in these characters, and I want to know why you guys get so defensive when anybody criticizes things, and you ignore all the other criticisms. You notice that they ignore any criticism of the films and only focus on the female thing. They go over and over on that because they don't know what to say. And I'm not saying you had to come out and defend your movie, but if you're asked about it, at least have some integrity, some intellectual honesty to look at the multiple arguments and viewpoints and come to some understanding with people to where it doesn't, you're like, I mean, the attitude of this, and with all of these people, with all the ones who've been coming out defending this, Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, with Kathleen Kennedy talks, Laura Dern, any of them, they all cross their arms like, well, I'm smarter than you and all my decisions are right, and you're just too stupid to get Star Wars. Oh, by the way, these movies are for kids. Yeah, I remember New Hope, when Luke's uncle and aunt get burned to death, and then Alderaan gets blown up, and then a guy's arm gets cut off, and then Han Solo cold-bloodedly shoots a guy. It's one of the greatest children's films of all time. Anyway, like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't buy the Mary Sue thing anyway. I find the term sexist in itself, because it's Mary Sue. I don't think there's a thing called Ryan Craig. When I was doing it, I never felt sure of, like, playing her, I never felt sure of what was going on. It wasn't like, this is happening and I'm so powerful and look at me go. And essentially, all I found Rey trying to do in the first one was she was trying to do the right thing. Like, she was trying to help BB-8, and then she was trying to help Finn, and now she's trying to help the Resistance. It's not a sort of self-centered power that she's just exhibiting, because also she didn't ask for anything in the first one. Like, she wasn't asking to go on this adventure, it was just
Dude, I liked it.
Man, you like that piece of shit?
I liked the first two. Why wouldn't I like the third one?
Because not as good as the first two.
Why didn't you like it?
Because I'm not retarded.